The Untold Story of Paper, How a Chinese Innovation Changed Human History. You're looking at one of humanity's most revolutionary inventions, an innovation so profound yet so commonplace that we rarely pause to consider its impact. This simple material, essentially plant fibers, pulped, pressed flat, and dried, changed the course of human civilization. Paper. It's in your books, on your walls, in your pocket as currency, and until recently, it was how we primarily communicated across distance and time. Yet few of us know the extraordinary journey of how paper spread from a single imperial court in China to transform societies across the globe. Before paper, humans recorded information on stone, clay tablets, bamboo, silk, papyrus, and animal skins. Each had significant limitations. They were heavy, expensive, difficult to produce, or impermanent. The search for an ideal writing surface was one of humanity's longest quests. Our story begins in China during the Han Dynasty, around 105 CE. Though archaeological evidence suggests earlier forms of proto-paper existed, traditional histories credit a court official named Kai Lun with standardizing papermaking into a systematic craft. Kai Lun's breakthrough was combining materials like bark, hemp, rags, and fishing nets, macerating them in water, and then lifting the resulting pulp on a screen to drain and dry into thin sheets. The process created an affordable, lightweight writing surface that could be produced in virtually unlimited quantities. The Chinese initially used paper for wrapping, padding, and personal hygiene. But its potential as a writing medium was quickly recognized, and by the 3rd century, paper had largely replaced bamboo and silk for government records, literature, and correspondence. What made paper revolutionary wasn't just its utility, but its democratizing effect. Unlike silk, which was expensive and primarily accessible to elites, paper could be made from waste materials like old fishing nets and rags. This made the recording and transmission of knowledge more accessible than ever before. For approximately 500 years, papermaking remained a closely guarded Chinese secret. The Tang Dynasty, 618-907 CE, marked paper's golden age in China, with specialized types developed for painting, calligraphy, official documents, religious texts, and even toilet paper. The story of paper's global journey begins with conflict. In 751 CE, Tang Chinese forces clashed with the expanding Arab Abbasid Caliphate at the Battle of Talas, near the Talas River in present-day Kyrgyzstan. When the Arabs defeated the Chinese, they captured papermakers among their prisoners. These skilled artisans were taken to Samarkand, an important trading center on the Silk Road. There they established the first paper mill outside China. The Arabs quickly recognized paper's value and improved the technique, using linen and starch sizing to create a smoother surface that worked well with their reed pens and ink. From Samarkand, papermaking spread throughout the Islamic world. Baghdad established its first paper mill in 793. Damascus became famous for its fine paper, and by the 10th century, the technology had reached Egypt, Morocco, and Islamic Spain. The Islamic world's embrace of paper catalyzed an extraordinary intellectual flourishing. Libraries in Baghdad and Cordoba housed hundreds of thousands of volumes, impossible without paper's affordability. Scholars, scientists, and poets produced works on astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and literature that would eventually help fuel Europe's Renaissance. Paper's journey into Europe came primarily through Islamic Spain, where the first European paper mill was established in Zativa around 1150. From there, the technology slowly spread northward. Italy established its first paper mill in Fabriano in 1276, and this city would pioneer key improvements, including the use of water-powered trip hammers to pulp rags and animal skin gelatin to size the paper. For medieval Europe, accustomed to using expensive parchment made from animal skins, paper represented a monumental change. Initially viewed with suspicion as an inferior Muslim material, paper gradually won acceptance, as its practical and economic advantages became clear. The reluctant European embrace of paper accelerated dramatically after Johannes Gutenberg's development of the printing press, with movable metal type around 1440. Parchment was simply too expensive and scarce to support mass printing. Paper and printing formed a symbiotic relationship that would transform European society. Within decades, print shops appeared in cities across Europe. By 1500, an estimated 20 million books had been printed. more than the total number of manuscripts produced during the previous millennium. This explosion of accessible information fueled the Renaissance, the Reformation, and the scientific revolution. Paper mills multiplied across Europe, with specialized centers developing in Italy, France, and the Netherlands. The demand for raw materials became so intense that rag collectors became common figures in European cities, gathering discarded cloth for the insatiable mills. As literacy spread and bureaucracies expanded, paper became increasingly central to daily life. Newspapers, personal letters, business records, legal documents, and books all became common. Paper was the medium of the Enlightenment, carrying revolutionary ideas across continents. By the late 18th century, the demand for paper had outstripped the supply of rags. This scarcity drove one of papermaking's most significant innovations, the development of wood-based paper. In 1799, Nicolas Louis Robert invented the first continuous papermaking machine in France. Perfected by the Fourdrinier brothers in England, this machine could produce a continuous roll of paper rather than individual sheets. The Industrial Revolution transformed papermaking from a craft to a mass industry. In 1844, German inventor Friedrich Gottlob Keller developed a wood-grinding machine that could turn trees directly into pulp. By the 1870s, chemical processes to extract cellulose from wood had been perfected, opening the way for truly mass production. Wood-based paper democratized literacy and knowledge on an unprecedented scale. Cheap books, newspapers, and school materials became available to ordinary people. The 19th century saw an explosion of newspaper circulation, with daily papers reaching millions. Public education became viable in part because of affordable paper for textbooks and students' work. The 20th century brought further refinements and specialization. Acid-free papers for archives, coated papers for magazines, cardboard for packaging, tissues for hygiene, and countless other variations. Paper consumption reached staggering levels, with the average American using hundreds of pounds annually by the late 20th century. Today, as we transition increasingly to digital media, paper's role is evolving. Yet despite predictions of a paperless future, global paper production continues to increase, though its uses are changing. While newspaper consumption has declined dramatically, packaging paper has surged with the rise of e-commerce. Paper's journey from China to the world offers profound insights about how technologies transform societies. Unlike gunpowder or the compass, other Chinese inventions that changed history, paper's revolution was quiet but arguably more profound. It democratized knowledge, enabling ideas to spread beyond elite circles and across generations. This simple material made from plant fibers created possibilities for education, governance, commerce, and cultural expression that would have been unimaginable to earlier civilizations. From Chinese imperial records to Islamic scientific treatises, from European religious Reformation pamphlets to mass-market novels, paper has been the substrate of human progress. The next time you hold a sheet of paper, remember that you're touching the culmination of a 2,000-year journey, an invention that began in a Chinese imperial court and went on to change how humans share ideas and record their stories across time and space. From ancient China to the modern world, paper's journey reminds us that the most revolutionary technologies aren't always the most glamorous. Sometimes the greatest changes come from innovations so successful that they become invisible to us through their very ubiquity.